Welcome to Ridgewood Talks. Through this podcast, we will be introducing you to some of the leaders and legends in our village. We'll keep you updated about fascinating local events. We'll dig into the town's hot topics and so much more. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Jeannie Johnson, the founder of Ridgewood Talks and Ridgewood Walks. The goal of these initiatives is to create a kinder, more connected, and more vibrant community. I'm thrilled to be hosting this podcast with my good friend and all-around wonderful guy, Jordan Kaufman. We look forward to meeting with you weekly and hearing your thoughts on who and what you'd like to learn about in our beautiful hometown. For now, be kind, do good, and enjoy this episode. Here we go.
Hey, Jeannie, how's it going?
Really good. How are you?
Yeah, things are great. Spring is coming. Kids' sports for the spring is up and running. I think everyone's excited to see some 60-degree days coming in the next coming weeks. And we've also got a lot of cool events, including the one for the guest that we have today that we're going to talk about. I also want to give a big thank you to our sponsors, Ridgewood AM Rotary. If you're not familiar with the AM Rotary Club, they meet on Thursdays at 7:30 at the YMCA in Ridgewood. And it's really about getting speakers, doing philanthropic things, understanding more about philanthropies in town, as well as being part of Rotary International, which is a great organization which has done wonderful things. I want to highlight for those who don't know, Ridgewood AM Rotary is having a wine tasting on May 14th. This is going to be at the West Bergen Youth Center in Ramsey, which is a really gorgeous center that they just renovated and redid. So it's a really cool way not only to meet and get to know the people of Rotary, but also to get to know about what's going on with West Bergen and the youth center that they've got in Ramsey. So this is kind of exactly what Rotary does, which is tie local charities and philanthropies and people in the community who want to get engaged and involved. This is a perfect thing. Again, that is on May 14th. It starts at 6 p.m. and tickets are available online at ridgewoodamrotary.org.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I'm going to get my tickets today. I'm going to go to ridgewoodamrotary.org. I'm going to buy them, and I hope everyone listening is going to buy their tickets too, because it's going to be a good time and all for a really good cause. So yes, anyone who's listening, I really hope that you do investigate this AM Rotary thing, because it is a fantastic organization, and so are our guests today. Today, we are going to be interviewing two remarkable women, and they've been on the show before. I'd have them on again and again. You know what? I'd even let them take over this podcast if they wanted to. We love talking to them because A, they're funny, and B, they both have hearts of gold. As you all know, one of the taglines for this podcast is to create a kinder, more connected, and more vibrant community. And that is precisely what Rory, Kelsch, and Kathleen McKitty Harris do with their What's Your Story event. Kathleen is a fifth-generation native New Yorker. She's a wife, a mom, and an essayist whose work has appeared in the New York Times, the Rumpus, and other popular publications. Kathleen also performs as a storyteller and has been featured on the Moth podcast and the Public Theater in New York City. She's lived in Ridgewood with her husband and two children for over 20 years. And Rory is an actor, writer, and storyteller. She portrays Charlene, the classiest of class moms, in the comedy web series Happy Hour Playground. You got to check it out. It's featured on all the social media platforms. Rory has also been on hits like The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and a television commercial featuring Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, and Tom Brady, which was hilarious. She has also performed on the stage in plays and as a storyteller and a comedian. Rory has lived in Ridgewood for 15 years with her husband and two children. So, Kathleen and Rory, we are dying to know, once again, What's your story?
Rory, you want to take this one?
Sure, I will take it away. Hello. What's Your Story is something that my dear friend Kathleen and I created. I don't know, it was in the last 4 years or something like that. We started thinking about it.
Yeah, I'd say pre-COVID, 2018, 2019, about there somewhere.
Exactly. Okay. We are a fun, intimate night of storytelling where readers speak their truth, strengthen community, and engage in the hilarious and healing power of stories. And we came up with that. I don't know how we met, but when we met, we just connected over a mutual love of storytelling and writing and acting and performing. And Kathleen connected me with our community of readers and writers up in Woodstock. And I did the Woodstock Book Fest Story Slam with her a couple of years. And we were just talking. We said, you think this is something we could do in Ridgewood? And I said, I absolutely. I think we should just give it a go and see what happens. And pre-pandemic, we did mostly events. We held them in Kathleen's backyard, but we started to branch out. We had a good friend of ours do a pop-up shop on the west side, and we did an event there. Then, of course, the pandemic hit and put the kibosh on lots of things, including What's Your Story? But we came back and graciously hooked up with Jeannie and Gail with the Ridgewood Historical Society, and of course, Daisy, who's wonderful. And we are about to have our third event at the Schoolhouse Museum coming up Saturday, April 13th, which is sold out. And
it is.
Yeah, we have, what do we have? Eight readers, Kat?
Yes, I believe we have 8 readers. And we will be co-hosting the show, as we always do, introducing these brave and beautiful storytellers. And just to add my 2 cents, thank you, Rory, and thank you, Jeannie and Jordan, for having us here today. Just to add my 2 cents about, partially why we started this. 20 years ago, when I was a really young mom in Ridgewood, my phone rang all day for play dates and carpools, and are you going to do this camp with your 3-year-old, and can we meet at the park? And I was really fortunate to raise our children in such a really strong community and a caring community. But over the years, I found, as I'm sure everyone else does and has, not just in Ridgewood, but worldwide, my phone stopped ringing and it started pinging, and we were just texting each other, emailing each other before we were texting each other. Now we're DMing each other. Now we're just liking each other's posts on social media. I have many friends here, good friends. It's no fault of the community. It's just the way we live today. But as I call it, I'll say crap has really isolated many of us. We're no longer speaking live. We're no longer face to face. It's convenient to cancel coffee at the last minute when we're down in the dumps and not feeling like going out, because we can just text someone and say, oh, I can't make it. Oh, the dog's sick. Oh, I lost my foot. I can't make it. Whatever our reasons are to pull back from community. And when Rory and I started putting these together, we're scientists. We don't know how this is going to go. We are experimenting. So we brought people together to write and read, and we brought people together to be in the audience. And the thing that really amazed me, and I think Rory agrees, is after is what was so incredible, as well as during. Seeing people that I've known for years but never knew they had this story to tell, this story that was inside of them, this advice or experience that they wanted to impart to other people. That was amazing, absolutely amazing, heartbreaking, hysterical, moving, and meaningful. And then that morphed into the after, which was Rory and I assumed people would read these stories and the audience would clap and they'd hug each other and walk out the door. And that didn't happen. People stayed and people wanted to talk to each other afterwards. I had one neighbor come up to me in one of our backyard events a while ago and say to me, oh my gosh, I can't believe our other neighbor just got up and told the story. I've lived next door to this guy for 15 years and I never knew X, Y, or Z, about him. That's been everything to us. It really has been. And we are so grateful to the Historical Society because they've given us a venue to rain or shine, because as you know, in the Northeast with the weather we had yesterday, in the backyard, it can be touch and go. If it rains or snows or hails or there are locusts falling from the sky, we have to cancel. So we're really grateful that the Historical Society has been such a great venue for us. It's such a cozy, intimate, educational space for us to do this. So I just want to make sure I say that as well. I know our audience has loved it, and so have our readers. They just love getting up on that sweet stage that was built for, a probably 20-year-old school teacher, I don't know how many years ago. It's meaningful to do that in Ridgewood. So I'm really grateful for that. And I know Rory is as well. So I just wanted to add that about community and what that's been for us going forward. COVID did stop things for a while, as it had to, but we're back. And we are so grateful that we're back on April 13th at the Historical Society again. So
on behalf of the Ridgewood Historical Society and Schoolhouse Museum, I want to thank you girls for giving our organization the opportunity to bring in so many new people into the museum. And as you mentioned, the little platform where the storytellers stand was built for a one-room schoolhouse for, like you said, a 20-something-year-old school teacher, and it was built 150 years ago. So,
right.
You know, and it's still going strong. And like you said, it is such a quaint, intimate setting for people to really bare their souls and share these incredible stories. I want to know from you, how do you select your storytellers, and what's that process like?
You know, it's interesting. As we've said before, if someone who is a professional writer, author, poet, musician, lyricist wants to come and read, fantastic. You know, we're so honored and thrilled to have them. We are equally honored and thrilled to simply ask people in our community, ordinary citizens, people who definitely view themselves as ordinary citizens and who I argue with after I hear their stories and tell them, no, you're absolutely not ordinary. You need to do this more often. But we will ask people to read. Now that people have been coming to our shows, we also have a sign-up list at each show. We will be putting together a website probably in the next few weeks when my daughter graduates from college with a tech degree. Thank you, Lord, to put that all together and allow people to submit and do that online. If they're not coming to the shows and don't want to sign up, they can do it online and let us know if they're interested in reading. What I often find is, of course, people are nervous when they're first asked to read. They're nervous if they've never done this before, thinking they can't possibly, it's too much, it's too nerve-wracking, they're not good public speakers. And Rory and I think we work hard to make sure that people feel supported, that they understand it's a positive experience. It's not a competitive one. I love The Moth. I've read at The Moth. The Moth is fantastic. What they do and what Catherine Burns has created is just magnificent. What we want to do is I just have a non-competitive, unlike The Moth and some other shows, so people don't feel that pressure when they get on stage. But
it takes the edge off. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what usually happens is that, you know, people get off stage and they immediately turn to us and say, I want to do that again. When are you going to have another show? And then people come up to us after and say, oh my God, you know, I have a story to tell. I can't believe so-and-so just spoke about this experience. I have a similar one. Or, wow, this person has really motivated me to want to write this down and tell my story. So, you know, we do a little legwork in finding some people, but usually they end up coming to us because it's just the nature of the event and the nature of our community, who I think, you know, so many people here are just so good-hearted, vulnerable, honest, eager people who want to contribute. So that was a long answer to your question. Sorry, but that's just been our experience. We've been really lucky. People want to participate.
No, I was just going to echo what she was saying. It's just, and I know it's kind of great. It's a blessing in disguise that we're not so tech oriented, that we started this out really by word of mouth. I mean, we really just like, you know, we were like, well, I know so-and-so, or even if I like, you know, just different corners of my life, like, I just meet people and I'd be like, would you ever want to tell a story about that? You know, you just kind of get to know people and connect with them. Like Kathleen and I connected together. And then, you know, it's kind of nice that it's been this sort of, for lack of a better word, analog beginning. And, you know, we're taking it on from there. But yeah, definitely the non-competitive aspect was very important to both of us, you know, because it just makes it easier for everyone.
Well, last time you guys were on, you talked a little bit about some of the people who told stories, some of the experiences that they had when, you know, they were worried about talking, and then, you know, kind of that transition from being worried to suddenly being, you know, absolutely encompassed by it. And I'm wondering if you guys maybe have some stories about the people who are speaking on the 13th, you know, of some of the transitions there, who's speaking, what they might be talking about, or even some other upcoming guests that you guys have. Just to, you know, that was really just a great connection, I think, for listeners, for myself. hearing about some of those stories. So I'd love it if you guys would share some of those today.
I will tell you, I can tell you who some of our readers are, but I can't tell you about their stories yet because you got to come down and see the show. But I don't want to give it away for their, many of them have surprise stories and surprise endings, but they are mostly New Jerseyans, if not Ridgewoodians. We do have a fan favorite, Gary Foreman, who read with me in Maplewood at Listen to Your Mother. He's a phenomenal writer and reader. He should be a stand-up comic, but he just doesn't have the time. And we also have another parent in town, Bruce Peabody, who's a professor, and his daughter was my son's prom date last year.
And Bruce and his wife Stephanie they've come to a bunch of What's Your Stories. And I knowing Bruce, this is like what I was talking about before. And because the last one, I'm like, so you want to do one of these? Because I don't know, he goes, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. Something
yeah,
like
it just kind of happens.
Yeah.
And dare I say it, Jeannie? Should I mention? Am I allowed to share?
The illustrious?
The inimitable Jeannie Johnson will be reading for us, which we're so thrilled about. And as you well know, Jeannie is just a powerhouse in Ridgewood, and she just does so many good works for so many people in this town. And I'd been nervous to ask her before, but I once we realized, okay, this is going, and I think Jeannie got a sense of how we work. We asked her to read, and we're so grateful that Jeannie's saying yes. And I believe Jeannie has a book coming out in a couple of months as well. So we always like to support other artists, writers, everyone. But certainly if you're writing a book or you've just had a great essay come out and you want to read from it, we'd love to have you. That's what we're all about. So those are just a few of our readers. I will also plug my husband because he too is a fan favorite, as will Jeannie be as soon as she gets on stage, as will Bruce. So it's, both people we know quite well, and like my husband, and people who we don't know as well, but want to get to know more by hearing their story. So that's just some of the people that we will have. And I'm not tooting my horn or Rory's, I'm tooting our readers' horns. We've never had a bad story. We've just never, and people just preempt and tell us how nervous they are. And we say to them, we're happy to read it. And really, please don't be so hard on yourself. You got this. And people say, no, I don't know. And I don't mean to make it like it's the most stressful thing in the world, but we understand it's really hard to be vulnerable at times and to get up in front of a group of people and say things you wouldn't normally tell everybody. You don't have to be that forthcoming. You can tell us whatever you want to tell us as long as it fits the theme. But we're just amazed every time people get up. I watched other friends of mine just in tears, sobbing, guys that I've known for a long time, who cry for no one practically, are wiping tears away and looking at me like, damn, you got me to cry. I can't believe this. And they come back. Mm-hmm. One of my friend's husbands came once and he said, she asked me to come along and I'm happy to be here, but, I really wanted to watch a game that was on TV. He's at every Story Slam now.
Everyone.
Every single one. Doesn't make a difference what game is on TV. He's there that night. So we've always got great people and they've always got great stories.
I'd just like to add, there's also a lot of laughter.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm being Irish about this. It's not all,
There's plenty
tears
of
and keening.
Knee slapping. Yes, there's knee slapping and keening. I mean, what more do you want?
Exactly. And a mixture of both. It's often a mixture of both. So, which is the best kind of story. Mm-hmm. And did we mention Jeanette? Should we also mention?
We also need to add that we have an extra special addition to this show. We partnered with Jeanette Donnarumma, who was a producer at the Rachel Ray Show for
16 years. She worked with Rachel Ray for 16 years. And in the pandemic, she became a Ridgewood resident. She had her first child during COVID. So she just said to me, boy, I hope you do an April 2020 theme, because boy, do I have a story for you, trying to birth my child in isolation. But she's just a powerhouse, and she's she's like another genie in training. I feel like she just moved here and she wants to do good and she wants to bring people together, and she's got a huge heart and a brilliant mind. She's so creative, and a lot of what she does is food based. She is going to do just the cutest charcuterie board boxes for us for the event because she wanted to give something back too. You may know her as the person who sells the giant antipasta Christmas trees. If you've ever seen her on Instagram or Facebook, I think she sold one to a Real Housewife last December. I mean, she's big.
She's Melissa Gorga. She got one.
Yes.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
And she has a link. You can, if you're coming to the event, you can pre-order a charcuterie box. And she's going to give, a portion of proceeds back to the Historical Society too. So we love Jeanette, and she's just another great Ridgewood person. And my other goal in having her is that she, like Jeannie, gets to see this and will then be a storyteller as well. So in one of our future shows. So we're thrilled to have her on board with us.
Well, I can tell you, as one of the storytellers, it has been a real challenge to build a good story with the theme that you gave us. The theme is green. And you said something like, I could tell a story about spring, Kermit the Frog, being brand spanking new at something, winning the lottery, or whatever else. And, so I've kind of built a little bit of my story. It's super hard because I am not a professional. Yes, I wrote a book. It is not something that I'm proud of, to be perfectly honest with you. There's a whole backstory that someday I will tell you. But yes, as a matter of fact, here it is. It's called If You Love Me, You'll Listen to Me. And by the way, that was focus grouped, the title. I did not pick it. It is How to Find Peace Through Compassionate Listening. That is the name of my book.
Okay, can we just interrupt for 1 second? Because publishing a book, whether you think it's good or not, or this or that, what an achievement. I have like an essay someplace in 1 or 2 places, but a whole book, it's a huge accomplishment, Jeannie. But I understand it is hard. I know it's hard to go through that process and to write.
But congratulations. Yeah. We are thrilled for you. This is fantastic, fantastic news. Yeah, it's amazing.
But you're saying it's hard to sit down and write. I know it is hard to sit down and write. Yeah,
it's really, and especially when you're given a prompt. And I love that you girls have given us this prompt. But again, it's really hard to build a story around it. So I'm doing my best. Look, my husband, he read a quote from Michael Jordan to me today, and it was something like, my team allowed me to take them to 26 national champions or whatever when we lost, or whatever it was. I don't even know what the quote was, but something about Michael Jordan failing. And he was like, so even if you go up there and you bomb, you still tried. So I'm just going to kind of prepare myself that I don't think that I can hold a candle to the other storytellers, but I am going to do this because first of all, I'm honored and I'm grateful because what you girls are doing for the Schoolhouse Museum and the Ridgewood Historical Society, I'm so grateful. So it's the least I can do. But I will say this, like I said, that color green is the prompt. And because I'm not a professional writer, it is challenging for me to come up with that story, but you two are pros at this writing and reading and comedic thing. So how about if we do a little challenge right here on our podcast and I throw out a prompt for you and you tell us a story with my prompt. Are you ready for that?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm game.
Let me think. Jordan, what should the prompt be? How about the color orange? Can you come up with something?
Okay. Touche, Jeannie. Absolutely. I throw a color at you, you throw a color at me. Perfect. Okay, so how do we want to do this? We want to give us like a couple of minutes and then craft something here?
I have something that's got orange in it.
Go. Do it, Rory, do it.
I looked up something that I had from before. Okay, all right. The first nightmare I ever recall having was a result of watching too many episodes of The Brady Bunch, that iconic 70s TV show about two people enjoying a second chance at love along with their respective children and a wisecracking but lovable housekeeper named Alice. In an early episode, Bobby, the youngest son, decides to help with some washing, and he accidentally puts too much soap in the machine. First, there's a banging sound which alerts Carol, the mom, and Alice to go to the laundry room and inspect. When they arrive, a mountain of suds is filling the room, and you can see the top of young Bobby's head, a swath of perfectly brown hair, with a 10-year-old's voice emanating beneath it, screaming, "Mom!" and "Help!" over and over again until they find him and bring him to safety. It was around that time I dreamed my mother was trapped in a laundry room overflowing with suds. They were up to her neck, and then I saw them cover her face until she was just a sweep of orange-colored hair that kept slipping away from me as I screamed, "Mom, Mommy, help!" I woke up in a pool of sweat and dashed straight to my parents' room, where I stood beside my mother's side of the bed and bore my eyes into her until she woke up. I did this often, whether due to a nightmare or just a random sleepless night. I never had to say anything. It's like she knew. She'd jolt a bit, then lift the covers so I could clamber over her and sleep between her and my dad, and I would eventually drift off to the sound of both of them quietly saying, "Shh, shh, you're all right now." And then there was a pause and a final, no kicking.
Oh my God. See, you made me laugh. You made me cry. You made me feel like I was right there with my mom and dad, snuggling up with them. That's what these stories do. It's really incredible. But you're a professional storyteller.
Well, I mean, what is a pro? A pro gets money for this. I mean, I'm really just an actor. I'm really just, you know what George Carlin used to say? It's all just, ain't I cute? Ain't I cute? You know, that's me. I do write and I love
Yes, you are cute.
I do write and I love writing, but really, I consider myself a performer, and I first and foremost. And what's great about this for me personally, if I could just tell you, it's like it just gives me an outlet to work out my stuff. You know, whether I'm working on, I think I might try stand up eventually. I don't know, but I mean, just being out there performing, because it's what makes me feel alive. You know, it's really, I'm not that well rounded. You know, so that's what I just try to do that, and I'm so grateful to Kathleen and everyone who gives me this opportunity, and I'm thrilled to give everyone else this opportunity as well. It's a gas, right? All right, Kath, your turn.
All right, here we go. So hold on 1 second. Sorry. It's a strange and beautiful thing to have your child graduate from college. And it's also a strange and beautiful thing to have your child graduate from your alma mater. In my case, Syracuse University, where I am astonished to realize I once called home more than 30 years ago, and where I spent 4 years finding my passion and my voice and ultimately myself, and where I've been so pleased to witness my daughter experiencing all of the same. So too did I meet my husband there at Syracuse, the love of my life and the father of said beautiful graduating child, who I've been partnered with for more than 30 years, traveling together through the ups and downs of life, the wondrous and the insane, the banal and the thrilling, the everyday and the miraculous. My husband and I were just kids way back there in upstate New York in 1989 when we met in a college comedy show's writer's room, wearing way too much orange than I ever thought was humanly possible, since it is the official color of Syracuse and the school mascot, Otto the Orange, a sweet but odd and furry lump of a mascot who looked a little long in the tooth way back there in the late 80s when we were at Syracuse together, as if he'd spent as much time drinking cheap beer in the college bars as my husband and I did. But now, whenever you visit your daughter at school, has miraculously Benjamin buttoned himself over the years, seemingly ageless, by wearing a brand spanking new carrot-colored neoprene mascot costume that hides all manners of wrinkles, cellulite, and age spots. And the fruit can still do cartwheels at football games, but you know, that's besides the point. So in May, I will sit in the bleachers at graduation this time around, futzing with my camera and my smartphone and desperately reaching for tissues in my purse. I'll be sitting in a place that used to be called the Carrier Dome, but it's now called something else, some techie name that I've forgotten. But the scenario will be the same somehow. A rite of passage, a rite of adulthood, a transition and a passing of the baton for generations, and an acknowledgement of accomplishments, which my daughter has worked so hard to achieve. I'll clap and I'll cry, remembering how overwhelming it was to sit in the same folding chair that my daughter will be sitting in on the field that day. But I'll believe in her far more than I ever believed in myself at that age, because she is far more than I could have ever been at that age. And then out of the corner of my eye, I will see Otto in all his day-glow orange glory, waving to the graduates and the parents, running through football field with his large orange flag and cartwheeling through the aisles as all of these students file in for their diplomas and throw their caps in the air. And you'll wink at each other, Otto and me and my husband, all of us old friends and proud Syracusians. I mean, maybe he won't wink because of the costume, but he'll wave at us with those Mickey Mouse-like white gloves, and it will be a very good day. That's it.
Love it.
Both of you guys.
Where are the tissues? Where are the
So,
tissues?
I had a little bit of a handicap because my mascot is literally an orange. So, that was that was a little easier for me. Orange is a tough color.
Yeah. Well,
But
green
see,
is not
it's-
that
it's-
easy either. As Kermit the Frog says, it ain't easy being green. You know what I mean?
Well, I have faith in you, Jeannie. And, probably that's one area where I think as writers, I don't always love a prompt myself, but I will tell you in the process of writing, I've taken many writing classes over the years, and many of them have incorporated a prompt as part of, an element of the class. I have pulled stories out of myself I didn't know I had. And I think that's probably what's daunting for people sometimes, is not knowing what's inside and what's going to come out.
Yeah.
And I promise you, we've got you. And and you all you have to do is just sit down and be with it. Write down some impressions that you have when you think of that color. What is it? How does it make you feel? What do you think of? Is there something from childhood that you remember associated with green? The green grass of your grandmother's backyard, the green dress you wore on St. Patrick's Day when you were a kid, the green hat that the boy that you loved in third grade stole from your head and you never got back. You'd be surprised. There are places to mine. And I think that's what's so important in storytelling, is kind of just digging deep and finding out. And so often prompts like these, as silly and trite as it may sound, I firmly believe it helps you discover more of who you are. So that's why we always encourage people. I know it's not always easy. Some people are just, they don't love writing. It's not their jam, but I know so many people have sat down and done it and said, wow, I'm so glad I did this. And I want to do it again, like I said. So
Listen, ladies, thank you so much for being here. It was such a thrill, and I wish you so much luck with everything that you're doing. Both of you are brilliant. You're funny. You're, again, so big-hearted. Just your heart just pours forth all this good and gold, and we're so lucky to have you in our community. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be here with us today too.
Well, thank you, Jeannie. Right back at you. So thank you, Jordan, for being here too. And it was really nice to talk with you guys and chat about all things green and not green and orange.
Real pleasure. And thank you guys also for, in part of this, all your proceeds are being donated to the Ridgewood Historical Society and Schoolhouse Museum. So that's just fantastic. Not only are you doing great things for the community and, the participants in the community and providing this kind of events, but also, really helping it re-inject into, some of the great infrastructure in our community as well. So thank you so much.
Well, it's nice to be a part of the history, and that's, what is the history but the story of the people? So, these are people's stories, so it's great.
Exactly.
And really, thank you both so much, Jordan, Jeannie. It's always a thrill to be here.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Anytime you want to be a guest host, please let us know. You're welcome anytime.
I would never take your job, Jeannie.
Bye.
You're the best at this. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you later.